Hey everyone, Lyle here at Connection Christian Church, and here is this week's Weekday Worship Thoughts video, because you don't have to wait until your weekend service to connect with God. This week we're still talking about ways to practice the presence of God daily, and I want to continue on from last week's talk about prayer and why it's so important, and to tie it in with 2 weeks ago when I walked you through our scripture and prayer journal that I use with my current D group. So today is about ways to use a paper journal for your prayer life. You know, if God can hear you speak, I'm sure he can read your writing too. There are quite a few ways to go about this, and we'll talk about 2 of the methods that I've used, and hopefully you can use some of these ideas here to level up your daily prayer practice. One simple way that a lot of people do this, maybe even without realizing that they're kind of journaling at the time, is to have a prayer list. Now, we sometimes default to only writing down names as a reminder to pray for them, and that's all good. There's nothing wrong with that. But you could easily make this a more personal time of prayer by not only writing down names and physical situations that people are in, but by writing out beside their names some specific prayerful thoughts about those people. Like, let's say a friend is undergoing cancer treatments, and I have a friend who's going through that right now. He's kind of tall like me, so I'll call him Lurch for privacy reasons and because he's a good friend and he'll get a good laugh out of that. So I write down Lurch. Funny. Radiation, not funny. But I don't want this to simply be a reminder to pray about him, so I'll also write part of a prayer out. Like, Father, please be with Lurch and his family to continue to give them peace during this really stressful time. Thank you for the doctors and surgeons and specialists that have been using their giftedness in his healthcare. Please help them with the inevitable financial stuff. Thank you for being a good God and encouraging my friends throughout this part of their story. So, a traditional prayer list can turn into more of a prompting for more prayer list, and that can jumpstart a good day of prayer for you. Another way, and I don't do this all the time, but still fairly frequently, is to write out either part or a whole prayer. I at least maybe do a page or 2, and then I move on to more vocal communication. And I find this helps me in a lot of ways. It helps me with my attention issues. It helps me remember things that I had forgotten about, as well as giving me like a tactile feel. And I do like to journal, I like to write, so it feels good to do that. And when I write, I find it easier to be thoughtful about the words that I choose in my prayer. Also, and this is really big, I can go back and read through that prayer later on and all throughout the day to kind of keep that prayer going throughout that day. And that's a big, big help for me in keeping those prayer thoughts in my head and in my heart all day long. So maybe that would help you too. Now, if you don't like to write, these ideas might not be interesting for you, but if you're struggling with getting a prayer life going or with staying consistent, I encourage you to give it a try. But just start small. Don't try to do too much or you might burn out a little bit, and maybe pick a few current things that you need to pray about, that you want to pray about, and just focus on 2 or 3 of those things and do the list format at first. You might actually find it really helpful and just a good way to kick off a day of prayerful focus. And if you try this, it might seem weird at first. Just keep it natural. It's like you're writing a letter to someone, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're writing your thoughts out to God, who loves to hear from you. Hey, if you have any more ways that you like to pray using a prayer journal, let us know those in the comments below. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.